Sweet. So I just want to make sure this is popping up
Alright,
on
I'm
the
just gonna
other
do a sound
stream.
check real fast.
Okay.
Huh, I guess I'm kind of quiet. I don't know why. Might be my mic or something.
I don't know. I can hear you pretty well. I don't know
Yeah,
if...
on stream though, it's just really quiet.
Okay, I will see if I can turn you up a little bit.
Is it possible to individually adjust volume on stream?
You know what, I can... I'm not sure if it is.
Cause I was shoutcasting yesterday, right, with I think it was Adam, and I was looking over my shoutcasting to see what I could do better, and it's just really hard to hear me for some reason. I don't know.
I am not sure right now.
Hmm.
I'll at least pull up my mixer and
It
I'll
might just be my microphone.
here. I'll turn up the Skype noise on my computer.
Alright, League is pretty loud now.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, that sounds great.
Okay,
Thanks.
sweet, no problem. I was just mixing it. That's actually what my job is. I'm an audio engineer.
Oh man, Audio Pro.
Okay, so we are now getting into the game, and we can at least talk about the champions when we're in the load screen.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we just had that issue, so let me see if I can pull up the load screen. Once my computer unfreezes here. Should be nice. Oh, okay. I have the load screen here, but... Oh, perfect. It's up on the screen now, too.
I'm getting in right now. So again, this is XsV Gaming against Complexity Academy. Pretty high level stuff right here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm very excited to see Complexity Academy, because, you know, I've seen Complexity in the LCS, but I haven't seen the Complexity Academy team, but, I mean, we see all Diamond players with the Platinum, and I think they're all trained by Complexity, so they're, if not on the same level, they're very close. But I mean, we've seen XsV do quite well in the tournament yesterday, and then the game we just had before. So for our champion matchups right now, it looks like we have a Thresh and Graves on Complexity Academy's side, and on XsV we have Nami, Varus, then a Jarvan in the jungle against Sejuani, and then a AP Nidalee against Orianna, along with a Jace against Renekton. So do you want to talk about what these teams mean?
Sure. Well, I mean, individually in the lanes, you can see the Thresh Graves signifying, you know, really you want to get in their face at early levels and try and get that advantage, which is kind of what, you know, XsV is kind of known for doing, is that they want that early game advantage as well. So that might be a counterpick to maybe what they've seen. Maybe Complexity Academy has done some research on this team and is trying to get a strong early to mid game champion pool as well. The Jace really fits in there. That could have been a counterpick to because XsV 1UP is known for playing Jace. He played Jace at least 4 times yesterday out of the 5 or 6 games that he played, and so it could be just some counterpicking and, you know, taking champions away from the enemy pool here. Is there anything you wanted to add, or?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, XsV is known for pressing that early game advantage with the Renekton, who's just so strong, especially once he hits level 6. But, you know, Jace can also be a bit of a counterpick to Renekton, just with that range advantage.
For sure.
But then we also have Jarvan coming out of the jungle, who I would say gives stronger early ganks than Sejuani does, just because he brings a lot of damage with his ganks, along with the knock-up, which is such a great form of CC. So hopefully we see some early aggression coming out of Purple side, this XsV team, with some good Jarvan ganks, as well as some early aggression. If Nami can land the bubble, or if Nidalee can land a good spear, even though there's not a lot of CC coming out of the mid lane, she can have quite a bit of damage.
Now, looking back at complexity, it looks like after I've looked at this for a bit longer, they are going for a somewhat AoE comp. You do have Graves, which is known to be more of an AD caster than really, you know, an AD carry, depending on how you build him. He can spam his Q, or not spam, but, you know, his Q and ultimate do a lot of damage at early levels and mid game as well. Looks like they're going to go with like Orianna Ball onto a Sejuani initiation, and that just brings a lot of immediate AoE damage. It'll be interesting to see how XsV reacts to this type of team comp.
And it was interesting to see for that just early game, we have the very standard lane matchups with our duo bot, then AP mid and AD top. And just both junglers took their own blues rather safely and are now moving to their reds. Jarvan is a little bit ahead in his jungle, so we might see an early gank from him, either top or
Like
bot.
Yeah, he is heading up top. Jace is still level 1. He does not have that ward in the river, and it looks like he might get caught out here.
So we have the gank coming out, the knockup goes on the Jace, and he might be forced to pop his flash. And there he goes, but he's shrunk down pretty low. He might not be able to stay in this lane.
That's a very good knockback to keep Jarvan away from him and the red buff off of him. That looks like Jarvan's just going to stay up here. This is one thing you want to do as a jungler. If you blow someone's flash, instead of going down away into your jungle and, you know, ganking other lanes, you want to try and see if you can get any more ganks on the no flash person, because obviously they won't have that escape for another 4 to 5 minutes, and that's just a time period of opportunity where you can take advantage of that lack of escapes.
And especially since they know that he doesn't have that warded. So Jarvan's just going back to take his jungle, but he might be coming back for a lane gank, it looks like, up on that top lane to try to get that first blood for either himself or Renekton.
Yeah, this is another thing. A lot of junglers, you know... Oh, sorry. There's an initiation down bot. Nami Q lands onto Graves. He takes a lot of harass.
But he didn't have to blow that.
Is following that up. Exhaust goes down on Graves. The hook comes out, but won't be enough. Looks like Nami W coming out, and they will... Oh, nice bubble, but can they pick that up? I think they're just going to leave that.
Not quite, but Graves is going to be forced back, and they do have a first blood for Varus. Just that piercing arrow putting out a lot of damage early. And Thresh had that flash, but he didn't think he needed to use it, and it cost him pretty bad.
Yeah, I saw this the other yesterday, but Nami... XsV, I guess, Pooty Spank? Is that...
I think that's the supports. Yeah, Pooty Spank.
Yeah, but he or she has shown to be able to really land that Nami Qs. I saw him yesterday landing those Qs, landing that ultimate really well, and you know, I guess he's showing his skill on Nami here as well.
Yeah, and when I saw him earlier today on Janna, he decided to go for the patented 4-Zeal Janna build for that attack speed, I suppose. So maybe some cockiness coming out from Pooty Spank, but he's proved, you know, if he can land the CC, if he can get his AD those kills, he might deserve it. So right now,
trying to happen down mid, Sejuani initiating onto that Jarvan, but looks like both will back up. Spear comes out, hits the Sejuani, not doing that much damage. You know, Nidalee hasn't leveled up that spear that much, doesn't have that much AP at the beginning, so
yeah,
just a bit of poking around.
Yeah, I think they were both looking for the gank on middle and ran into each other. Great junglers think alike. It does look like Jace has been able to stay in lane. He is a bit behind Renekton in CS, but with that gank that's expected, but he's done a great job of just kind of healing back up. He still has a ward on him, but hasn't planted it yet, so with his flash not like a little bit more than halfway off of cooldown, we might see some aggression from Jarvan as his lane pushes up a little bit.
One thing I kind of want to mention was that we did interview XsV 1UP yesterday, and looks like initiation down bot. Sorry, Nami Q lands, and the blue team is really getting poked down here. Sorry, I'm jumping around there.
No problem. They're the purple team is taking a pretty good advantage spot.
Yeah,
but
sorry, really fast. We did interview 1UP, and he did mention that his favorite champion to play was Nidalee, but that it didn't really fit into their composition here. That's why he has been playing that Jace and that Orianna. And seeing the enemy comp, we see both of those champions being picked out. So that might have been an intentional pick out on their spot, like I mentioned earlier, to try and, you know, get 1UP on a less familiar champion or one that doesn't necessarily fit in their comp as much.
Yeah, Complexity Academy had to be sure to research excessive here. I'm sure there's a lot of researching going on both sides. Unfortunately, we weren't able to talk about this picks and bans.
Nami getting very aggressive, positioning herself. She's looking to 1v1 the Graves here. Varus trying to follow up on here, gets hooked, but the Nami Q comes down, forcing Graves to dash away. Looks like, whoa, I had a lag spike.
Jarvan's coming in from the back. Oh, and the double Q onto the Thresh picks him up without even needing to knock him up and CCing him farther. So Thresh...
Oh, the flash EQ by Jarvan will manage to hold down the Thresh long enough for Varus to pick that up. And I do believe the Flay kept him on the other side of the wall.
Are you... You might be a little bit behind me.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, I think... Yeah, the kill came a little bit before you talked about it. But yeah, and it's interesting. So if you can jump forward a little bit.
I do believe I'm live now. Sorry about that.
Okay, well, no problem. But yeah, that Thresh has just gotten caught out a little bit, and he still has that flash on him. Hasn't blown it yet, even though he's died twice. I think he's just a little bit too confident in his own tankiness early. But which on Thresh is notorious to be pretty low until he can build up his passive. He comes back, tries to land a hook on Varus, but it will be no good, and Purple team is securing a pretty heavy advantage in the bot lane. Only a 9 CS difference, but 2 kills up on Varus.
I've noticed that this Thresh has really gone for as many hooks as possible. I feel like that he's not really waiting for a good opportunity here. Looks like Red will catch out Sejuani's gank here, and she will have to back out. But yeah, I think Thresh is just trying to force things a bit too much here. Maybe a bit of nerves, but...
That could be, and with Jarvan giving that presence to top and bot lane, we really haven't seen Sejuani give the same presence. Now that she's level 6, I hope that we see some good ultimates coming out from her, but she needs to give that advantage back to her team. There's a 1,000 gold advantage on the Purple team, and you know, with they're kind of notorious for securing that early game well. They've done it so far, and we kind of need to see.
Red team is trying to push down this top turret. They will not have that minion wave. Jace able to clear that fairly quickly. Nidalee looking to go up and possibly help them out, but will go back mid.
And we can see Jace has gone back, picked up that tier, and is stacking it up. Renekton still has yet to go back this game. He's just been staying in lane with that rejuvenation bead, farming it up. Jace tries to get some damage down on him, but can't even get close.
That's slice and dice.
Yeah.
Too slippery there.
Renekton playing it safe, has the highest farm in game at 69, and he's just doing a great job in that 1v1 top lane, just with that early aggression that Jarvan gave him.
I think you mentioned how Sejuani hasn't been making that big of a difference in the ganks here, or in the game, sorry, with her ganks, and I think that might partially be due to, you know, the good warding by the red team here. They really have a lot of the jungle entrances warded, and so they're able to spot her coming in fairly early, and she's just not able to get in there in time to really lock them down and set kills up for her laner.
That's true. I think before we get out of this laning phase, we might need to see some more pink wards coming out on blue side, just to try to get her those ganks, because without ganks, those lanes are going to continue to fall behind. Although the jungle is ahead in farm, their bot lane and top lane are quite ahead in CS, and the mid lane is rather even, just OOs across the board, tiers on both of them, and just kind of playing the farm game in mid.
I think it's interesting that a tier came out for Orianna. I generally don't see tier of the goddesses on Orianna. I think I've only seen it once, and I'm not sure if it's a very popular build or more of a preference to allow her to spam her skills.
Oh, Thresh tried to land the hook and throw that lantern behind him, but wasn't able to land it onto minion. But they might just be pressing onto this turret. Both champions going low, but picking up a kill on Sejuani. She overcommitted a bit too much without enough follow-up.
That was a very good ultimate on by Varus onto the entire team, managing to lock them down under turret. The thing I think there was just a bit of miscommunication. After Sejuani ulted, it looked like they wanted to turn around, but the flash flay by Thresh really trying to it's the whole forcing things again, and doesn't look like.
Absolutely.
Does not look, yeah, sorry.
As well as the disadvantage of the Sejuani ultimate did manage to slow both the champions, but didn't actually land a stun onto anyone. Yeah. And now Purple team with that advantage is probably going to take the first dragon of the game.
Right, blue team doesn't really have any wards. I don't think they're even aware of it. There is that ward in that banana brush, but I don't think that's going to spot anything here.
They're going to pick up that dragon uncontested, securing a 2.3k gold lead over the blue team.
Now, even with that dragon and those 3 kills, it's surprising to see that the gold lead isn't that high. Looks like maybe the blue team is farming fairly well despite all this. Looks like we have some action down bot. Thresh Lantern has to go out. Almost doesn't look like red team will be able to pick this up here.
Oh, but the hook lands on Varus, and he's caught out here. He tries to go for the kill on Graves, but he just got caught out a little too far, over-aggressing a little too much on the Graves. And so that's, I think, what the blue team needs to go for now. Casting some of the excessive games earlier, I noticed that they can overcommit a little bit to kills when they're ahead. And if blue team can capitalize with that Sejuani ultimate to punish people, as well as the Thresh hook.
And the flash EQ ultimate from Jarvan, able to melt the Graves. No, there was really nothing he could do there. Just very little room for reaction.
Absolutely, just a very quick combo from Jarvan should be able to save them this tower, unless
looks like Orianna is coming down from mid, but Varus is back and alive, and it looks like we might see some confrontation here. They're trying to make something happen. The Q goes out, the ultimate end, but Jarvan is able to dodge. Nidalee coming down from bot. Looks like blue team is trying to disengage. Ult lands from Varus, managing to snare every member of the team. Ult from Nami will lock down both Thresh and Orianna long enough for Nidalee and Varus to pick up a kill.
Yeah, that was a great double ultimate from Varus and Nami. You can see why they picked that composition, because they can just lock down a team for several seconds while the rest of their team can come in and pick up those kills. So now we have 4 kills on the Varus, who's quite ahead of that Graves, who's not sitting at any kills, just a single assist. And they should be able to push down this bot turret for the second turret of the game, first turret for XsV.
Looks like Jace will initiate onto this Renekton. Not sure if he's going to be able to catch up. Renekton does pop his ult. Slow coming down from Jace, getting that extra damage with the range, but I think he will be able to get out alive. Meanwhile, down bot, we have, red team picking up that turret, getting that extra 150 global gold.
And they're now sitting at a 2,500 gold advantage, which isn't too much, but this early into the game still shows quite a bit of a lead over blue team. It's still anyone's game, with blue team having such a strong team fighting presence with that AoE from Sejuani and Orianna. They could turn it, but purple team, if they continue to press their advantage, might be able to push down a couple more turrets and continue to secure the dragon for the next few attempts.
I think an interesting thing to note here is how many pink wards are coming out from the red team. XsV Gaming getting a pink ward on their ADC, their support, and their jungler. Looks like they really want to try and deny this vision for Complexity Academy and, take control of this middle game and the map.
Yeah, I think they've just decided, you know what, we're in an advantage, we might as well starve them of any vision at all, just not give them any chance to catch us out, to be able to fight us outnumbered.
Looks like Complexity Academy moving down bot, looking to make a play. Orianna there in the bush, but she will get spotted out by a ward. Looks like XsV Gaming will be playing this fairly passively as they bring Nidalee down from the mid lane.
We did see some pings going onto the blue side top and mid turrets. I think XsV might be looking... Oh, but a Thresh grab to go over. He throws the lantern to bring Orianna behind him, but they're outnumbered quite a bit.
Wow, great pounce by Nidalee, able to pick up that Thresh fairly quickly. Looks like Orianna caught out in the Nami Q, very well placed there.
It looked like Orianna turned around a bit there, but was a little bit ill-advised because they were on a 4v2 right there. Quite a lot of CC coming out from purple team, was able to lock up another kill with now an 8-1 lead for purple team.
Very surprising that the game isn't as close as we might have thought. Although the gold lead is sticking around 2.7, that just goes to show that the blue team is doing a very good job of farming despite getting all these, despite dying.
Yeah, it is interesting seeing, even though Thresh has taken 18 farm for himself, Graves has taken, at least gotten even with Varus's farm. So he's doing a great job of that, but with the 5 kills on Varus, he's still going to be the much stronger AD carry at this point in the game.
Looks like red team will be swinging up top to try and do a tower dive on this Jace. Renekton getting caught out, getting hit by the ignite, and looks like they're going to get this. Maybe he is fairly tanky. He is regenerating. The red team collapses onto the Sejuani and manages to get her despite the flash being blown. Nidalee chasing the Jace, going past the flash. knocked back and looking for the spear. Won't need it. Q from Jarvan managing to pick that up.
Yeah, Jace just, you know, when he's in the enemy jungle with 4 members up in that jungle chasing him, he's probably doesn't have a good chance of surviving, and just a little bit of overcommitment, just trying to pick up that Renekton, but no wards on that top side for the blue side. He couldn't see that, you know, he had 2 or 3 members of purple team coming up after him, and that cost him pretty dearly.
That was just an unfortunate timing, I guess. The wards all expired, and he hadn't had a chance to go back and, you know, pick one up. So just good pressure from the red team, you know, getting around the map, making these plays, and catching people out here.
Absolutely, they just travel as a team. And one thing I noticed last game that just happened now is if one member of XsV gets a little bit caught out, gets a little too aggressive, the rest of XsV has great communication, and they'll be there to you know, kind of bait it in and to outnumber them, jump on them. Last game it happened with the Zac, and now it's happening with, you know, the Varus and Nami ultimates, as well as the Jarvan jumping in.
Now it looks like we have some warding going around for the red team around Dragon. Blue team does get a ward in there, but red has a ping. Looks like
we do have a 5v4 right now with Jace still making his way, so if there was a fight, it would definitely go in purple team's favor, as well as that.
Starting this Dragon, looks like blue team trying to make something happen from across the wall, but they did manage to pull out the Dragon a bit, and the Thresh lands the grab onto Jarvan. I don't think that will be enough.
We have the 5v5 now here, but purple team takes out the Dragon, and blue team is probably going to back off, try to poke a little bit, but you know, they tried to go for the steal, but I think they knew they couldn't go for the full initiate because they weren't able to win that team fight.
And that is one thing to note. Sejuani did burn her ultimate there, trying to steal that Dragon, and so it will be down for at least another minute or two. It doesn't look like red is going to press that, though, and they're just really spreading out, pushing out all the lanes again. Oh, and an interesting pickup, if you don't mind. Graves coming out with the Blade of the Ruined King. Interesting pickup because Graves' AD scaling is very high. Most people will go for that Bloodthirster to help augment his Q and ultimate damage here. But Blade of the Ruined King, I don't think I've seen many Jaces pick that up.
Many Graves. Maybe because he was behind, because he expects a lot of health stacking on Jarvan and Renekton, as well as, you know, if he gets caught by Varus, he might be able to just use the active and get himself out of that. I think it might be a good item when you're a little bit behind, just to make sure that you do have that extra mobility, and you can chase someone down if you catch them out, which I think is what blue team is relying on now, because they can't really win any sort of 5v5 engagement.
Right.
And with the team fights right now, we see Orianna is still sitting on that Tear of the Goddess and a Rod of Ages, which will be scaling up. But Nidalee has forgotten the Rod of Ages, instead gone for a Rabadon's Death Cap, and is going to be a lot stronger with that AP damage right now in the mid game.
Yeah. Nidalee generally doesn't get a Rod of Ages. She just usually goes straight AP just to get those the damage up on that spear. The Rabadons, the Seraph, and then eventually the Void Staff is the general build for Nidalee here.
Right, and with those 2 kills, the CS is a little bit in Orianna's favor. With those 2 kills, Nidalee is going to be putting out quite a bit more damage in these team fights. Although Orianna does have that great AoE lockup, if we don't get some good team fights and engagements, the purple team should be able to take the advantage here with that increased damage.
Now it looks like we just have people dancing around in each lane. Looks like most people have stayed in their lanes. We do have a 3v3 here on mid, but it doesn't look like anyone really wants to engage. So Sejuani up in the side, looking to wrap around behind the red team, spotted by a ward, and it looks like they will back off.
Yeah, I think purple team might be looking for some fights now. They know they can win the team fights, and so might be grouping to push down this lane or hopefully force an engagement.
Jarvan coming in from the back. Sejuani trying to make initiation, but Jarvan will be there to lock down the blue team back line. Ultimate comes down from Varus. They just lock down and destroy the Orianna. Box comes out from the Thresh, trying to slow them down, and it looks like they might pursue for a bit, but I think they're just going to go for this turret.
Yeah, Sejuani went after the Varus, but she didn't have any team there to catch up with her, and she just kind of went in by herself.
Sejuani trying to get back into the turret, ends up running into a member of the red team, and she will get melted instantly. Nidalee able to pick up that kill.
Now 12 kills for purple to the 1 kill on blue side, and we see now a 8,000 gold advantage for purple team.
Yeah, this is excessive strategy. They find that small early game advantage and then really start to push it. They're very good at getting and pushing that advantage. It's what they do, and I guess what they're known for, if you know this team.
And now just grouping up, trying to push down those turrets, I think is what they need to do here. They know that blue team can't turn it on them, can't out-engage them or out-fight them, and they have a pretty good advantage here. They can't let it sit for too long. They can't let blue team farm it back up, but knowing their style, they'll probably group up to take down a turret rather soon.
Now that we have a little lull, we can take a look at maybe some of the item purchases. Aegis of the Legion finally coming out on that Jarvan. That's really going to help them right now when all the team fights are happening. You know, giving that survivability to each member of the team. Varus, we do have the Bloodthirster Zeal coming out. Looks like he's going to finish that last Whisper. Really going for more, I guess, spell damage than really constant AD.
And then Sejuani has tried to get that Aegis Legion or Runic Bulwark, but hasn't been able to get it out yet, which is why we could see some of this teamfight domination coming out on purple side. She right now really only... Oh, she's just able to finish the Aegis, but up until then, only had, you know, kind of the selfish defensive item in that Spirit of the Ancient Golem.
Yeah, it looks like Mira mana able to be completed on that Jace. That will give him that, you know, mid-game burst that he's really known for, but this might be a bit late. He does try and pick up a BF sword, maybe going for a Bloodthirster to stack that AD and get more damage on his EQ combo.
I think I'm dropping a bit of frames in the stream here, so I was just trying to figure out how to get that a little bit smoother.
No worries. We do see a Randuin's coming out from this Jace, or excuse me, this Renekton, and looks like Sejuani gets caught out. Great ultimate, but the Nami Q stunning her long enough for the rest of the team to really engage. She manages to get away with that Q, and she will get away alive.
Right now, blue team can't afford to get caught out with that huge purple team advantage. I think they really just need to be warding up their jungle, but right now, purple team has a pretty huge vision advantage in the enemy jungle.
It looks like an initiation up top. Randuin's being popped against this Jace. Jace trying to get away with the acceleration gate. Turns around. Renekton getting awfully low. Looks like he will dance around in the brush to try and flash, E, stun, and another slice and dice. Maybe they're both very low.
Both champions go down to almost nothing. But with Orianna coming up, I think Renekton just has to...
Acceleration gate does miss. We have an Orianna here looking for an auto attack. The slice and dice coming out. That will be on cooldown for another 8 seconds. I don't think he can get out.
And Jace picks it up with the excellent Q. Renekton got a little overextended there. Didn't have any wards in the river. Couldn't see Orianna coming. And he thought maybe he could catch that Jace on low health. But
it was a very close fight. Jace did manage to pull some very nice shot blasts there to manage to weaken him before actually all-out engaging. Looks like red team is looking to pick up this dragon. Well, looks like it's going to go uncontested as blue team's jungler is in the top half of red team's jungle. And so that is, I believe, the third dragon going down for Excessive Gaming.
Yeah, they still do have that almost 8,000 gold lead. Sejuani catching out Nidalee in the jungle. Nidalee is going to try to get away from this, but she might be burst down.
Slows coming out from Varus, barely saving the Nidalee here. Orianna trying to chase, looking for Nidalee, but does not look like she'll be able to pick this up. Box coming out from Thresh, and it looks like Varus was just caught out in the middle of nowhere, and they just turned on him and melted him.
This is what blue team needs to do, just travel together as a group, try to catch members out. They still don't have the vision they need, but they were able to, you know, just catch the Nidalee walking by with Sejuani waiting in the bush. And it did result in the kill, along with Graves taking that turret in the bot lane. So they are bringing themselves back in a little bit.
Looks like Renekton swinging around behind the nice Nami Q, landing on the, I believe, the Orianna. Ultimate comes down from Jarvan. Ultimate from Orianna does not manage to hit anything, or enough people. Looks like red team will be chasing here. Acceleration gate comes out. Nice Nidalee spear, lowering the Thresh. Renekton trying to get in, manages to get denied, and same with Jarvan.
Yeah, he flays both of them. Graves is coming in the backside, but he might not be able to turn this fight, and we might see both teams take their jungles and back off. Jarvan does go back in with his EQ combo, but Sejuani takes a lantern right over the wall and is able to escape from that one.
That reaction time by Complexity Academy with the Jace knockback and the Flay is just very, very well pulled off. Managing to keep Jarvan and I believe it was Renekton off of their team there.
Very impressive. Even with that catch out that Renekton got onto Orianna, we do see that Complexity Academy is in no way out of this game yet. They still, if they can travel together as a group and catch out XsV, they are able to bring themselves back in. But with XsV's lead, if they can group together, force these team fights and take down some turrets, they might be able to Complexity Academy a little bit more than they can take.
Now we do have a Bloodthirster coming out from Jace that's going to really give him a damage spike with that Brutalizer as well. Looks like he might be looking to finish that last Whisper and get that armor penetration. But the Jace with the Bloodthirster and a Mirror Mana is a very scary thing. I can speak from experience against one of those. They do deal a lot of damage.
And with Sejuani tanking that up, I think Jace just needs to go for all the damage he can, just trying to secure, as well as Graves does have his last Whisper and his Sword of the... Sorry, Blade of the Ring King, but...
Thresh getting caught out in the ultimate, hooks Jarvan, but that won't be enough to keep everyone off of him. Renekton managing to pick that up here, and that will make it a 4 against 5 here in the mid lane if they decide to push this turret.
And that's exactly what Purple Team needs to do, just group together. They know they have the team fights, they know they can fight this out, and they're just going to pressure this turret. There's some pretty good wave clear from Orianna, Graves, and Jace, which might be able to keep them off the turret for now, but if they can get some damage down, they can continue to pressure it. A lot of damage going on to Orianna.
That wave clear is very good. They just melted the wave before anyone could actually really get even close to the turret. A ward coming out over the wall, Jace will pick one up, as I think that was in turret range.
But the Purple Team does have some good poke with the Varus Piercing Arrow as well as the Nidalee Spear, so they're going to try to poke down Blue Team.
Initiation by Sejuani. Looks like she's just going to back off there. Her team wasn't really there. Orianna had to go back after getting poked down very hard. Graves is already at half health, and looks like he's just going to head bot and try and push out this wave before the red team manages to get to mid turret. I'm not sure if this is going to be a good decision. He looks like he's wavering and going back to mid.
Who I think right now Blue Team really can't pull any players in keeping Purple Team off this turret. They've managed to take down about a fourth of the turret, but without the Graves there, they might be able to take it out a bit more. Graves is still in that bot lane pushing out the wave, but Nidalee is collapsing down on him.
Out here. EQ from Jarvan managing to blow that flash, and that's going to be pretty big in this upcoming team fight.
Now we have the split push coming down in that mid and bot turret. A ping goes out on top lane. They might just turn and go for that since no Blue Team members are there to defend it.
And Orianna just wasted her ult right outside of the base. I don't think anyone was really there to get hit by it, but that will be on cooldown for another minute or so. So that will sort of lower the damage output coming out from Blue Team in the case of any team fights here.
But it looks like Purple Team has dropped their pressure on the base. Are going to go for this inner turret on the top lane. And Blue Team is swinging up around to defend it. They don't want to let this one fall, but they might have to just with this big Purple Team advantage coming out.
Yeah, one thing you can do if you're really unable to siege the base is to swing and look for a second tier turret, because those are much harder to defend. There's this really big open area behind the turret where you can catch people out in case they're weak and they can't just go back to their base and heal up.
I think their strategy here is just for Nidalee to poke them down from the side while the rest of the team just tries to clear out the wave, and it seems to be working pretty well, but there's just such great wave clear on the Blue Team is able to keep them off for now. The Orianna and Graves just clearing out those minions in a few seconds flat.
Complexity Gaming is doing a very good job of dodging all those spears here. Oh, as I say that, Orianna gets hit with a near pretty good spear there, but yeah, the wave clear coming out from Blue Team is really allowing them to protect these turrets here. Red Team hasn't been able to really do much aside from try and swing across the lanes and push out everything.
Right now, it just looks like they have to back off. Even though Oriana's ultimate was down and she was rather low, it might have even been around a 4v5, but they've decided to just back off, take the dragon, push out the lanes, and maybe steal a little bit more of the blue team jungle. I think
red team is excessive here is really respecting the team fight ability of Complexity Academy here. They usually, when you're far enough ahead, you want to do those turret dives and you want to get in there because you know you're going to win. But in this case, it doesn't look like they feel confident enough to really pull ahead in the case of a tower dive.
True, they might just be looking to continue to secure dragons and jungle and just stay ahead. Both teams do have rather good team fight potential, but this is maybe a little bit out of excessive comfort zone where they just typically like to perma push once they get a little bit ahead.
Now, one thing you can do if you're ahead and you have this control of the map is to take objectives. If you're able to pressure the blue team or the enemy team's turrets and base, but you can't quite, take the turret, you can always go back, take their jungle, take your jungle, take big objectives like Baron and Dragon, and slowly extend that gold lead.
And I'm not sure we'll see a Baron coming out right now because all the ultimates are up on the blue side as well, and I'm not sure Excessive quite feels confident for that 5v5, but if they are able to take out an inhibitor turret on either the bot or the mid lanes, they might then feel confident enough to go for Baron because the minions might be able to take out Complexity's base if they try to contest the Baron at all.
Looks like red team is looking to clear wards and ward in advance. The ping goes down onto Baron. The blue ward just expired, so it's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do. We have seen in past fights and in past games Baron being a turning point in the game when a team goes for Baron and then they get aced from the other team because of the Baron debuff, because of all the damage that Baron can do.
But Excessive has just dropped all of their wards, all of their vision on this top side of the river, just making sure they have complete control over Baron. And it's working right now. Blue team is kind of running in blind, and they might be able to force an engage here.
Looks like Jarvan trying to get around, but red team is kind of spread out. They're doing a good job of keeping Renekton up in front to try and wall off the blue team from their carries here. Literally slowly trying to chuck these spears, getting these hits, but...
Oh, Thresh almost gets hit by a spear and is brought pretty low, so right now he's about half health while purple team is sitting at full. Another spear landing on the Orianna, bringing them low. I don't think blue team can afford to continue this poke game with the Nidalee on Excessive.
I think someone said something about how Headhunter Nidalee might be a... Because I heard somewhere that Riot does not allow some skins in the game because of the particles making it hard to really see or to make it deceiving for the hitboxes. I'm not sure if Headhunter Nidalee is one of those, but...
Like Steel Legion Lux is definitely one of those, with her ultimate almost invisible.
Arclight Varus is another one, because of the arrows being very narrow, and
we do have Arclight Varus and Headhunter Nidalee both in this game, maybe pushing that skin advantage.
It's like Jarvan managing to pick up the Baron, but Renekton here caught out in front. He flashes away, and it looks like red team will be turning on here. A lot of damage coming up from Jace onto the Nami, and Graves will be able to pick that up with an ultimate. Jace really bringing in the damage. He's going to cut them off with the bottom exit, and Graves is able to pick up that Nidalee. Here's another case of Baron gone wrong. I mean, it was a good by Renekton to really try and keep blue team off, but off of that Baron they were able to pick up 2 kills because everyone was low, at least the people that were trying to take the Baron.
True, an excellent hook from Thresh locking up that Nidalee, and I think blue team just forced the initiation a little bit earlier than purple was ready for. Jarvan was low and they were both not close enough to join that fight. And now blue team pushes down the mid inner turret and then backs off. They know that members of the purple team still do have this Baron and might be looking for some revenge.
Looks like we have an Iron Locket of the Solari coming out, as well as the Bulwark onto Sejuani. Now that's going to really bring their teamfight tankiness up a lot. the Iron Locket of the Solari, in case people didn't know, is gives that HP, gives a shield to all nearby teammates, and so that really stacks and gives them that extra little survivability they might need to survive that maybe Jace burst or that Orianna burst,
Here we
depending on
see
what team you're
an
on.
almost identical build coming out from Jarvan. They've both gone for this tanky support role. But with Jarvan at 3-0, it might be working a little bit more for him. Those boots of mobility allowing him presence in quite a few more fights than Sejuani might be able to get to.
Now we have a
Sejuani
great
gets-
knockup, and the knockup from both Jarvan and the Nami. Looks like Thresh will be able to save the Sejuani right before she dies there.
But Purple Team does have an advantage now with Sejuani needing to go back and heal, and they might be able to take this inner turret for themselves, leaving only the inhibitor turrets up for Blue Team.
It looks like they will be able to take this blue turret. Now, this Iron Locket, Spirit of the Ancient Golem Bulwark build on the jungler is fairly standard for a lot of tankier junglers. Looks like we do have some poke going down top though, as Red looks to siege the blue team's base turret with that Baron buff.
True, we have ultimates up on almost anyone. Varus is still a little bit off cooldown, so Blue Team might have an advantage if they are able to get a fight here. I think Purple Team is just very eager for an inhibitor turret, and they're going to continue to press this. There are no other major objectives on the map, so they might as well press the pressure as long as they can.
Sejuani doing a very good job mid of keeping Jarvan off that turret. Looks like she will clear that wave, and Red Team looks to back off here. One important thing to note is that Jace has picked up the Last Whisper, and Graves has picked up an Infinity Edge. Now that's really going to help out his auto attack damage there, and bring him back into more, I guess, allow him to be more relevant in these team fights. Jace's poke is going to be very high. You can see that EQ coming out, taking out a quarter of Varus' health already.
But Varus is sitting on that Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, Phantom Dancer, which kind of has, as long as there's not a lot of armor on the blue side, which we see except for Sejuani and her Bulwark, there's not a lot of armor for blue, so he will be able to have a higher auto attack damage output with great... Oh, a flash ultimate coming in from Sejuani, trying to catch out that Varus.
Varus has been slowed. A permafrost coming out, but the red team managing to get in front. Looks like they're looking to counter engage here. A stun goes down on Sejuani. The ult is down on her, so she won't be able to do much. She manages to push back the back line, and looks like diving on both back lines here. We have a box coming out, as well as an ultimate. Nidalee managing to pick up the Orianna. Ignite comes down and managing to take down the Renekton. Jace doing a lot of damage, grabs the Nami as well, but Varus still alive after all of this. Being the main damage source, we do see Red Team coming out 3-2 out of this team fight with a Jarvan. He's going to be able to EQ. A Flay comes out a bit too late there, and it looks like they're going to try and pick up this Thresh off the back of that, and that's going to be a 4-for-2
4-for-2 exchange for Purple, and they should be able to pick up an inhibitor turret off of this, just pushing those
Maybe
minions
even
in. Yeah, I don't know that Graves can really defend this well at all by himself. I think Blue Team just focused a little bit too much. They saw the Nami there, they saw the Renekton there, and gave them a little bit too much focus, where Varus remained rather healthy, was able to just chunk down with his auto attacks.
Another thing was that Sejuani, after throwing that ult out, really couldn't do much. She tried to interrupt the back line there by queuing in at the very beginning of the fight, but she wasn't able to stop them. That queue only giving less than a second of interruption there. And Varus was just able to walk back into the fight and not be afraid of that CC coming out from Sejuani.
And then they were able to, you know, just press on. Varus, with that Bloodthirster, was able to lifesteal anything Sejuani took out of him. And the rest of the team just didn't focus him at all. I think with that 8-2 Varus nearing 300 farm, they really have to be more afraid of him than they are. But that was a great team fight coming out from Purple Team.
Another thing was Renekton and Jarvan did a great job of getting into that back line of Blue Team, just diving in and causing that interruption and confusion. If you can get onto the back line and stop them from doing damage, that's just as good as you know, taking out the ADC of the from the fight, because they're not going to be focusing your ADC, and your ADC is going to be doing that damage.
True, I think Renekton is very confident in Varus' ability to stay alive and put out damage, because he's built an entirely tank build with the Spirit Visage, and then a whole lot of armor coming out.
And that Thorn Mail here coming out there, I guess, for the Graves and the Jace.
Yeah, if we look, Renekton is sitting comfortably at 390 armor and 340 magic resistance. Maybe a little bit too much defenses for the health that he has. He is sitting on a good amount of health, but Or oh, sorry. I was reading the movement speed as the armor. It's 340 armor and then 118 magic resist.
Oh, that
So
sounds a bit
that sounds a
silly.
little bit more realistic. I would be rather impressed by 340 magic resist.
I don't think you can even
Renekton.
get 340 magic resist now, unless you stack double items.
R.I.P. Force of Nature.
QQ.
But he is just sitting fairly tanky. He just knows he can dive in, and with his abilities, he still does have high damage to, if not kill the carries, at least take him out of the fight, force them to focus him or someone else, keep them off of the Varus. And Varus just doing a great job of positioning in that fight. I mean, he had it kind of made out for him, but he is
I
just
just wanted to note that this Nidalee decided to pick up a Leandries. Now that's an interesting pick because Leandries usually is reserved for more spammy casters who can constantly apply that damage over time. Nidalee does have the spears, but that's not constant, and I don't think she's going to be able to take advantage of the DOT effects as well as maybe an Orianna will be able to.
That's true, but I think because they just had such a siege roll for Orianna, I mean for Nidalee, sorry, like landing that great spear on the Thresh, taking him down about 3/4. I think she's just looking for any bit of extra damage she can get on those spears. If she can,
Right.
landing one spear, then continue to take out more of their current health, then she can force more people out of the fight before it even begins.
Right. Now we see another sieging of top. Looks like Red will swing up to Baron. This is very good timing for Red team because of the inhibitor takedown on bottom. The Red team's super minions have been pushed into the base, forcing Blue team to react there.
Dude,
Not
great.
sure if
Graves and Jace, the main damage dealers of Blue team, are down there taking care of the super minions while we have all 5 members of Purple team up, and they're able to take a rather free dragon, Baron, not taking too much damage for themselves.
Orianna finally able to pick up that Rabadon's death cap. That's gonna really give her a bit of extra damage there, but it might be a bit too late.
Now
Of
with
course,
a
there will be team fights, but
With a 10,000 gold differential and a Baron buff on Purple team, they're just looking to take the base now.
just look at that spear taking down over half of Graves' health. He's forced to go back. Not sure if Red team will look to push this advantage. They do have Jarvan mid trying to push down this turret.
And right now they know that if Jarvan is pushing on that mid turret, the Blue team has to respond. If they go in on top, then Jarvan can just run over there rather quickly with his boots mobility and his EQ combo. And they're just looking to take down these turrets. We have the top
So
turret.
Jarvan completely ignoring Sejuani here. Oh no, I stand corrected. He went in, dealt a bit of damage while he had the minions, and then just left, knowing he has that regen from Baron. Sejuani's not going to be able to keep him off his turret.
True, she doesn't have the damage output, but Blue team is collapsing. Jarvan might be caught out. He throws that
The-
Demacian standard out and is able to...
We do have Orianna throwing her ball on the, and we have a flash. Looks like going for an ultimate by Sejuani, but the Nami ultimate very nicely placed. Looks like everyone's collapsing. We do have Nidalee up in front. Man has to flash out here. Graves right in the back, taking out the Jarvan and the Nidalee. Renekton very low already, and so is Varus. But it looks like everyone will get out alive except for Graves. He is caught out here, but he did manage to take down Nidalee. That's going to be very beneficial in the siege, but that's a lot of damage down for Blue team.
True, it was a 1-for-1. Both teams are pretty low, but Blue team is able to run back and heal up. I don't think Purple can push this with that Renekton and Jarvan sitting a little bit too low. I think...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think at least with Jarvan pushing down that mid turret, he overcommitted a little bit, got caught out, and then they were able to engage on the carries onto Varus and onto Nami, and even though they weren't able to kill them, they were able to force them out of the fight and apply good pressure, and Jarvan wasn't able to keep them off quite well enough.
I think the idea behind that, though, was just to deal as much damage to the Blue team so they would be able to tower dive in the near future. And all that damage that Jarvan was able to eke out allowed the minions to pick up this middle turret. Now, while everything was happening, we did see the super minions take down one of the Nexus turrets. That is pretty big here. 2 exposed inhibitors and only 1 Nexus turret left. This does look somewhat dark, or the future kind of looks bleak for Complexity Academy here.
True, Complexity Academy just really has to put all their eggs in the next team fight. Maybe catch Purple team out a little bit, but there are no wards from the blue side out. I guess they're not confident enough at all to go into their jungle. They're just looking to fight this with their 1 Nexus turret remaining. But
Now,
I don't know there'll be enough
think in
damage
that
to turn it.
last team fight, I didn't quite see the Orianna or the Sejuani ult. I might have been looking in the wrong place, but it seemed like they weren't quite able to get that ult off because of the interruption from Nami.
True, I'm not sure. Maybe the cooldowns are low enough that they were able to get him and we just see them up now. But if it did come out, it didn't make quite the impact they were looking for. I think
Right.
when they layered those ults on top of each other, they're really looking to melt the back line. But Nami and Varus were able to escape alive and rather unscathed. They were sitting on rather high health. It was Jarvan and Rekton who got out sitting on a little bit left.
That Graves getting behind everyone, managing to pick up Nidalee was good for the team, and I guess Graves, because when you're behind, you kind of want to go for those 1v1 trades, but
we do have an engagement coming on here. I think blue team feels confident that they are outnumbering purple team. Renekton gets caught, but he's rather tanky, taking quite a bit of damage, but he might go down
here.
here.
Split up from the team and try and pull him away, and that will be one member down on the red team.
And if there's anything that's going to bring Complexity Academy back into this game, it is picking up those single kills on someone a little bit overextended. So purple team unable to push. About a minute respawn timer on Renekton, and they have to wait for him to come up because he's their team's main tanking capacity besides Jarvan.
Looks like a Randuin's Omen coming out on Jarvan as well. It's very interesting to see how they're stacking so much armor on their front line. I guess they're really afraid of this Jace and Graves doing that damage here.
And they know that Sejuani and Orianna do have great area of effects crowd control, but the damage on Orianna and Sejuani might be lower than other, typical carry or like damage jungle roles. And so they're really only afraid of the Graves and Jace here.
Yeah, this match is turning out to be a very good match. It's been fairly close throughout this entire game, with XsV Gaming managing to get out this lead and hold on to it. But there have been parts of this game where it could have gone either way. So going into this next team fight, we're really going to see whether Complexity can really make a final stand and then possibly push for a bigger objective like an inhibitor here.
True, and with these full builds coming out, we really see which team has the better late game. XsV seems to be falling back a little bit. They're not quite as confident in their ability to full-on 5v5 fight this Complexity Academy team.
Looks like Jarvan almost getting caught out here. Acceleration Gate from the Jace is a very good initiation tool, especially with the Sejuani running through it. You have a lot of lockdown coming from her, and having a giant boar running at you at like 50 miles per hour is a fairly scary sight indeed.
True, but Jarvan's just going to say, I can jump away from you any time of the day. I'm going to go back to my team where he feels a little bit more safe. And with Varus sitting on that Guardian Angel, I think purple team might be pretty confident in their steady damage output in these fights. They might be looking for a fight right now. They are staying grouped up, whereas Complexity Academy has split up a little bit. And purple team is pinning down this inhibitor. I think they want to grab this inhibitor for themselves, put down a little bit more pressure on the Complexity Academy base.
It doesn't look like blue team will be able to recall in time to get into position. This was a great push by XsV Gaming here. Blue team has been caught out of position. Looks like Sejuani's coming around from the side to try and catch them off guard. Nice ward coming out from the red team. Looks like Nami's going to check this bush, and she manages to see the Sejuani. Sejuani trying to do something there. Looks like the fight will reset here. Oh my gosh, that spear coming out from Nidalee, taking Orianna down to 1k HP. That was a 1.5k damage spear.
And now with a 5v4, we might see this inhibitor going down. We have purple team just poking away on it, but they aren't able to get as much damage as I think they were looking for. Orianna's already back in the fight with those home guard boots.
Yeah, but the Graves getting hit by a spear, and that did a huge chunk of damage as well.
True, I think Nidalee has been a great choice for them. He's able to land spears when they need to, when they're sieging.
Oh my gosh. And there's another one onto Orianna. Blue team has not had much.
You have a fight coming out with Xanos going down very quick.
By Sejuani, managing to ult Varus. Box goes down on Varus. The Thresh just getting melted though. The damage coming out from both Varus and the Nidalee not just melting the blue team here. They weren't able to really take out the Varus in time. No one could get close enough to follow up, and looks like red team will be picking up an inhibitor and possibly the Nexus.
True, it's a 2v4 here, but I don't think that blue team has too much of a chance. It's only Graves and Jace, and we see this high amount of armor coming out on purple side. They are going in maybe for a kill on Renekton, but Varus still has his Guardian Angel up and still sitting pretty healthy. Gets taken down very low.
Flash from Nami. It looks like Graves trying to do what he can, but Oh!
Renekton flashed to the other side of the Nexus, got those auto attacks out, and that is game for Excessive Gaming.